My guest today is a passionate and dedicated advocate for holistic wellness and personal growth. After facing burnout as a working mum, navigating significant life challenges, and feeling stuck in survival mode, she found her turning point at a women's retreat. There, she discovered the power of sisterhood, self care, and self love, which inspired her to say yes to a healthier and more abundant life. Now, as a leader in the wellness space and part of the sisterhood in Wildfire Women, my guest helps others achieve sustainable mind, body, and soul transformation. Through her work in coaching, retreats, events, and the Naked and Femme health programs, my guest empowers her community to thrive with grace, balance, and intention. Not only is she a mother to five, she's a wife, an entrepreneur, and she's a woman who knows a thing or two about overcoming adversity. And in this episode, we chat about life, sisterhood, and how women overlook the basic need of loving on ourselves in order to thrive. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Skin I'm in podcast, Krystle. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
It's great to be having this conversation. You and I were talking offline about what you do and how you're, in the wellness space. And, I just think at this time of year, people are so focused on their wellness in the new year rather than, their wellness in the moment they decide that they want to get better and eat better and, have all their exercise routines and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about how in the world you manage your day as a mum to five, a wife, you're an entrepreneur and a leader in the wellness space. How do you prioritize your day?
It's alignment. So I've learned to set my day up for flow. It for women, we slow mornings we work better with, so that helps my day flow. But doing a business that aligns with my highest values and my biggest passions really helps because I just be feeling stuck and ick, not wanting to show up for what I do. And I think that that's where some women go wrong. There's so many opportunities to work online, and you just really got to do what works best with your passions and your values.
Interesting point you just made there. Women need to have a slower morning. Tell me more about that.
It's our hormones. When we wake, our hormones are rising and they're setting us up for the day. So if as a mum, we are having those chaotic, busy mornings where we've all been there getting, or just women in general, getting yourself ready for work, off the rush and then the traffic and then all of the negative, you're filling your day with just such a negative start that it's carrying on through your day. And we're creating these hormones. We want us to be in not in a fight or flight mode. So, yeah, just slow mornings where I practice gratitude and I have just me time. Usually I have a coffee, but I'm doing a high protein detox at the moment and I am on day 4. Of no coffee. So I I'd love to sit down and have my coffee. So now I'm having lemon water with chia seeds, like a warm drink of that. So not the same, but
I don't know how that is even close to giving
it's not.
you.
But I have to like it's the sitting with a cup of something that I love. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, I don't know if you've tried Not Coffee. Have you tried the product Not Coffee?
no.
So my husband is a coffee drinker and I'm not. I love a good chai, but because we're, working on fertility and all kinds of stuff, he's given up alcohol and I've asked him to give up coffee, but I found a product called Not Coffee. It's made of chicory and carob.
Yeah.
And the woman who created it out of, she had to give up, I think either she had an autoimmune condition or she had some kind of condition and she was asked to give up everything, and giving up coffee was a routine and a ritual that she really loved, and she struggled with that, so she created this amazing product called Not Coffee, and it's actually delicious. Like, even I'm drinking it. I'm not a coffee drinker, So maybe give it a go. She's pretty good. She's from Melbourne,
I
I
have
believe.
cacao. I love cacao, but
Yeah.
the ceremonial grade of cacao that I do have it with oat milk, even though it's organic barista oat milk, and it's the only one that we can find that has no seed oils and stuff in it. Uh,
Yeah.
it's we're still not having oat milk for the week, so
Right. Okay.
yeah, it's only a week. I can do this. It's
Oh, all
fine.
right. I thought you were going to tell me it's like a 30-day detox.
No, you
You'll
can
be fine for
choose
7 days.
3 to 7 days. You can choose, and you do it after your bleed cycle. And because women should
Right.
not be fasting in their autumn and winter phases, we require more calories during those times. That's
Right.
why we crave more things like carbs and chocolate. So,
When you
um,
say autumn and winter phases, do you mean of the cycle or of
the
the
cycle where
year?
you'd usually show up like a crabby bitch, like your
That one.
pre-period.
Yeah. Know her. She's a feisty one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. When my hormones were out of balance, oh my God, they were not fun. They were not fun times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that. Because of this podcast and a lot of there have been some things that I've been through, especially in the last few months. And I'm just becoming so present to what our hormones actually do to us, and when they are out of whack, what that feels like. And when you've had hormones that are functioning well and then they stop functioning well, if you don't know what it feels like to have hormones that are not functioning well, you just don't know that you're in a constant state of unwellness in your body.
Yeah.
And so once I fixed my hormones or adjusted them, and I mean, they went to crap after I had after I got COVID in 2021. And then it took me 6 months to rebalance them, to go from having really shit cycles for most of my life to then having really beautiful cycles, easy, predictable, painless cycles, which I didn't know was a normal thing, to then having them messed up again. That change affects so many processes in our bodies. And the more I dig deeper into things like, hormones, perimenopause, menopausal symptoms, because let's be honest, no one tells us what we're up for when, those things start. So we don't know that we need to make any changes in our lives, to things like pregnancy, miscarriage. It is unbelievable how much our hormones play a part in our state of wellness. Tell me more about the hormone stuff. I'm really interested in this stuff because I just don't feel like we know enough, especially because, I mean, you work with clients to help them lose weight. Hormones is another huge part of that, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, you can't lose weight, and like you said, fertility. You can't fall pregnant if your hormones are out of balance, and if your insulin isn't stable. So, um, I got myself a CGM,
Uh-huh. What is
glucose
that?
monitor,
Oh, okay.
and I noticed that when I did my Dutch hormone test, my cortisol was spiking in the morning, and this
Yeah.
was before I implemented my slow morning routine. So I was
Interesting.
like, wow, okay, I can see this big spike. And now I'm at a stage of coming out of what did I have? The marina. And so I'm seeing what effect this has, because now that I have my slow mornings and everything's great, I'm still noticing that my insulin spikes in the morning between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, no matter what I'm doing. I could be sitting here doing my gratitude, feeling very peaceful and all the things, and it's still spiking. And so whether I've eaten, whether I've had coffee, like none of that matters. And so I'm looking at whether or not it has the fact that I've had a hormone in my body that doesn't belong. So that's something that's huge. I do encourage women to look at their insulin. It's huge, and I'm really lucky because one of my biggest mentors that creates the programs that we're in, she's at the same stage of life as me. So
Hmm.
yay, we're the same age. So when I was coming into perimenopause, I didn't know if I was in perimenopause or whether I was just suffering with my postnatal. Like I was like, what's going on with my body? I really didn't know. So I had a chat to Kira, and she believed it was probably both. So I have finished my breastfeeding journey now, and I can focus on just my health and doing the detox. So I can really just finish that balance of my hormones and get things back on track. So I noticed that I'm not the same crabby person I was, which is great. I noticed some things that when I started the program that she created that is for the latest one is the detox and the sculpt. I have it's all about hormone balancing. It's all about postnatal. It's all about fertility. It is all of the things that women in our stages of life are struggling with. And yeah, it's just been such a like an eye opener to like protein is huge. So if you're not eating enough protein, that will have an impact too. So yeah,
Isn't
it's
it
some things
interesting?
that I've learned.
Do you think that it's individual, the experience? Because I remember years ago, would have been like 2015, 2016, no, 2015, maybe 2016. I was introduced to a chiropractor who is amazing. He's published a book on basically like paleo, right? And I was seeing him for chiropractic care, and he swore by a paleo diet. And so I bought the book, and I bought my mum the book. And I tried going paleo, but I got really unwell, Krystle. Like, I got so unwell eating things like sauerkraut and mushrooms and just meat all day long. And I started to put on weight. And I remember saying to him, like, Bryce, I'm putting on weight. I don't understand. Am I not meant to be like shredding and, feeling alive and all that kind of stuff? And he's like, no, well, it might just be that your body is comfortable at the weight that you're at right now. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, with all due respect, I don't feel well. So, fast forward, God, that was 2016. We're now in 2024. Fast forward, I now have more of an understanding about the gut microbiome. I mean, there's a lot of research that's being put behind that, but we still don't understand the gut microbiome very much and how it's connected to we understand that there's a gut and brain connection, but how? Like, what are all the organisms and the bacteria and how do they impact us? When you think of, eating mostly meat or, a high protein diet, is it just eating lots of red meat and chicken and all that kind of stuff? Or is it like a more holistic, is there other stuff that you do? Because I was so unwell for those months.
I might shock you. I actually don't eat meat. So
Interesting. Tell me, because I remember when I went vegetarian, my cycles were beautiful.
yeah,
My everything cleared. So
the
talk to me
power of
about that.
plants, right?
Yeah.
So the whole food nutrition that I take, it's plants, even the omegas.
Interesting.
People take fish oil when they don't realize that fish don't contain omegas. They don't produce them. They get it from the plants. Um, it's Mother Nature. It was always intended for us to heal. So
Right.
I am pescatarian. I do eat fresh caught fish. My husband is a fisherman, so he
Wonderful.
he catches a lot of fish. And we don't buy fish from the supermarkets like salmon because it's not wild caught, so
Yeah.
it's pretty toxic.
Yeah.
And we don't eat dairy other than on the odd occasion of like a certain cheese or something that we'll have. But otherwise, we just have coconut milk in our smoothies. We have plant-based protein powder and fish. And that's,
Interesting.
yeah.
God, that raises so many more questions. My doctor of Chinese medicine acupuncturist, who I saw I started seeing her because my hormones had kind of gone a bit wacko, and I realized that since having the COVID, my body went into perimenopause. All the symptoms that I had had for 3 years, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And it took me 3 years, and God knows how many GPs and specialists that I saw that are like, oh, it's just a part of getting older. And Krystle, let me tell you, it was women who were telling me it's just a part of getting older, and this is what we have to deal with. I was like, how are you okay with saying that to another woman as a woman? Like, stop it. it just didn't feel right to me. It felt so out of alignment in my body. And I realized, wow, I saw I really love Diary of a CEO podcast, and he had on, what's her name? Dr. Mary Haver Claire.
Girls?
Dr. Mary
Oh,
Haver
okay.
Claire. She's
Yeah.
like the menopause specialist. I mean, he's had a few menopause specialists on since then, I've noticed. But it was the episode that he did with her that I was like, holy crap, like I think I'm in perimenopause. And so I went to a integrative health GP,
Yeah.
integrative medicine, something. Anyway,
Yeah.
did all the hormone tests and all that kind of stuff. And he said, go see a doctor of Chinese medicine. Is it that, we're, obviously thinking of having a family? And I'm like, what do I need to do to prepare my body and my womb space and, spiritually, energetically, and physically for, motherhood? And she said to me, you have to start eating more meat if you want to fall pregnant, which felt off to me.
The
But I
hormones
was,
coming from the animals. Why? Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
you see, that's it. I have these reactions too. And then I did I just completed a course in food as medicine and the psychology of food. I'm so fascinated by food and how it, what it does to our brain, what it does to our organs, and all the processes. The whole bodily processing is so fascinating to me. And she even said she doesn't believe in like that whole keto paleo thing, but she still believes as a nutritionist, I think she's a nutritionist, clinical nutritionist, that we need to eat meat. And so when I think of the time in my life where I did give up meat, I still had butter and I didn't have any dairy. I'm not that I'm big on dairy, but I do love cheese. I have goat's cheese. Cow's milk doesn't agree with me, apparently. But it was the best time in my life in terms of wellness that I had ever experienced. And so I am constantly in this thing of, especially that there are so many fads out there, so many diet fads, one size fits all the rubbish. And I wonder to myself, are we like the rest of the animal kingdom where some species thrive on having like a carnivore diet and other species thrive on being more
Do you
omnivores?
know
Like,
what it is?
what does it tell me?
Okay. So you go carnivore diet, and what are you eliminating? The crap, the processed crap. You go vegan,
Yeah.
what are you eliminating? If you're a healthy vegan, you're
Mm,
eliminating the crap. So that's what whichever side you fall on, that's what they have in common. They're eliminating the
mm.
processed foods. That's why they will feel the difference in their body, and they will feel healthier. So if you just eliminate the processed foods, you're going to notice that the seed oils, they're in everything. Like there is such a small amount of like crackers or rice cakes and things that you can eat that don't have the seed oils and all of the nasties in them. So that's the best place to start. Just
When you say
eat
good
intuitively.
vegan, do you mean vegans that don't eat cheese made out of tofu? Because that's so processed, right? But that's like a vegan.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many different vegan. Like I went vegan 7 years ago, and then and I was doing the whole replace the meat with like the fake sausage thing, and
Oh.
it didn't
Oh.
sit well, and I ended up going back to eating seafood. But I mean, I'm anaphylactic, so some seafood does kill me. But I
Oh.
that's all.
Minor detail.
So I do eat fish, and I love it. And I never went back to eating meat because I just felt heavy, and I
Yes.
felt like, I mean, the science says that once you eat meat, it can show up in your body. I can't remember how many years later because me and numbers don't get along too well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's still in your body that long later, then you probably shouldn't be eating it. We're not animals. We're not designed like that. I don't know. That's my thoughts. If
I
it's
find
still
this
in there,
this is so interesting to me because people have such polarizing views, right?
yeah,
And especially people that are in massive health spaces, like, people like, I mean, I love Joe Rogan. I listen to Joe Rogan a lot. And there's, Dana White in the UFC, all these really strong dudes that are carnivore diet enthusiasts. And then there are athletes out there who are fully vegetarian and swear by the fact that when they gave up meat, their performance increased. And there's all those documentaries that show what meat does to our blood. And like, it's just, and that's why I think to myself, is it as simple as, individuals and their genetic structures or their DNA structure would mean that we are more inclined to eat certain things the way, gorillas and elephants and they
Yeah.
all eat grass basically, and lions and cheetahs all eat other animals. So I'm like, is it that simple? And if it is, why are we not looking into that kind of research?
I think that that has a part to do with it. So I know that I have the MTHFR gene, which
Right.
means I can't detox naturally. So
Interesting.
um, I am one of the people that really shouldn't have, because I'm highly sensitive to any sprays, any pesticides, all of that. I don't wear perfume. I do want to get a natural one. I do buy natural perfumes for my daughter. She's 15, because I'm like, that they do terrible things to your hormones. You're
Yep.
young. You don't need that now. And it's just, I think you need to look at your own genetic makeup. Like, I know that cancer is in my DNA. I also know that autoimmune is in my DNA. I don't want that. Lifestyle pulls the trigger. Like, DNA might load the gun, but I'm here without
100%.
cancer. I am here without my autoimmune that is in my markers. Like, yeah, it's your lifestyle. So I think you just need to look at your DNA and what works best for you. If you're a meat eater, go for it. Um, if you, like me, prefer not to, then go for it. Like, I I never tell my clients what they should or shouldn't have in their style of eating. I provide the encouragement for the whole foods and that sort of thing, like bringing it back to basics. And that's why one of our programs is literally called Naked Program. You're stripping it
Mm.
right back. So yeah.
Let's talk about you before you got here. So we've talked offline about, burnout working mum, operating on survival mode, navigating all of the life challenges women face. You booked yourself into a women's retreat and turning point. Tell me about that time in your life and how it's impacted your wellness journey.
Well, being homeless was tough, and I think it was the turning point that I just went, I need more in my life. Um, yeah, it was definitely a time where I was reaching out for a sisterhood that I absolutely did not have. I just felt burnt out, alone, absolutely depleted. And when it's funny when I look at how I thought I didn't need nutrition support, but I was depleted. Like, all
Yeah.
the signs were there. And it's just, when I saw a sisterhood that was pouring into other women and doing gratitude and sunrise on the beach and yoga and all of the things, that I was like, oh my god, self-love, like, I need this. Like, I had nothing for myself. I was pouring into everyone else all day long. I was working in the community, working with disability, and then at the end of the day, giving to my family. Like, I just had nothing left in the tank. And it just made sense to me that this was the thing for me to for me, it was all about my family at the start. It was all about helping my family, and the sisterhood for me was just, when the family was in bed and I could connect online with the sisterhood and the community. um, it just did. I didn't expect the spiral of health. Like, that's kind of where my rabbit hole began.
I want to acknowledge you for calling that out, because I am really, really starting to see just how disconnected we've become from ourselves, to the point where we don't realize that we don't have enough self-love and we're not pouring enough into our own cups. And I think that sometimes, and I'm going to speak from experience here, because, I was that person that was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I've got this. I've got it. I handle it. Everything gets done under my watch. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Like, and I remember just being like, there are still days that I'm extremely exhausted, but I'm like, no, I'm resting, and I don't care if the washing's not done. and I don't care what else needs to be done. And that never used to be me. And I love that you called that out for yourself, because a lot of women don't. Like, a lot of women do not admit that they don't have enough love for themselves. Or maybe they just don't even know or have that self-awareness. So was it just seeing how loving the community was that made you look at yourself and are like, oh my God, I don't have this for myself? Or did someone actually say to you, Krystle, like, you need to love on yourself more, girlfriend? Like,
It
what
was
was that?
just, it was definitely the experience. I went
Mm,
along and I felt it. And I was like,
mm,
oh my God, this is what I'm missing. Like, I don't have a sisterhood. I don't have self-love. Like, when am I ever pouring into me?
mm.
Never. And it was a weekend away mountain hiking and doing all the beautiful things that I was like, yeah, okay, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, it,
Yeah.
it felt good. And I think as a mum too, like, we feel so guilty when we are not there doing it all, and we don't
Yeah.
have to do it all. And and an interesting thing is, women produce half the amount of serotonin as men, but we use it twice as fast. So it kind of makes, sense that we need to pour into ourselves and just slow down a little bit. And it's hard. It's hard to, like, mums will say, oh, but I'm busy, oh, but my life is full. Like, let's stop focusing on busy. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like that word.
And
I,
full of
I try to
what?
say my days are full. I mean, the busy of things you choose, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're choosing your, choose your hard. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Oh my God. And it's one of, I also wonder sometimes that, we say we're busy, but are we really?
Yeah.
How much time do you spend on socials? How much
I'm
time?
busy.
Yeah, totally. My day is so jam packed, and you see them posting their lunch on, social media, and you're just like, what are you doing? No one cares anymore. That is so 2000 Facebook. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Was it even out then? No, probably not. Let's say early 2000s Facebook. I think it was MySpace back then. But it's just, how do you, let's talk about what you do. So now you guide others on their journey to self discovery and wellness. So, what is it that you do, and who are the people that are coming to you aside from burnt out mums? Because I feel like there's a lot of those.
I think it's changed for all of my seasons, because women relate to the season that I'm in. And so
Mm,
when I was burnt out, I attracted more burnt out mums. Now that I'm in perimenopause, I'm attracting more mums in that season, but I'm also postpartum with 2-year-old twins. And so
mm,
I'm attracting those mums as well. So I have like a sort of a rounded, yeah, collection of women that come to me for different reasons. For even women, because they can see that I'm a mum of 5 and living a healthy lifestyle, that want to balance their hormones, that are like, well,
mm,
I'm that's what I'm looking to do. So it varies depending on the sides of my story that I'm sharing and what they can resonate
mm.
with.
Yeah. And so, what is it that how do you work with them? Is it like a one on one mentorship? Do you do
It's different for
workshops?
everyone. We are in messenger chats, and some women I will be sending stuff to because I know that they're on a self love journey, let's say. And so I'll
Mm,
send self love resources. And some women will completely just be like, accept that I've sent it, and whether they use it or not, um, it's completely up to them. Some people want to just be self-led, so they get access to the programs and they can go and do it themselves. Some women need me to drip feed them stuff, and they need that support of check-ins if they're losing weight. Okay, so let's set up the next goal. Like, it's really dependent on what support looks like to them as to how we set up. Do you want to have weekly check-ins, or is that annoying to you? Because
yeah.
you're busy.
Yeah. For certain people, yeah, probably.
So yeah, but the community and the all of the resources are in the programs that they get access to. So whether or not they want me checking in, it depended on how much they want to hit their goals.
Right. And what do you find as the roadblocks for women hitting their goals? What are the excuses?
I'm busy is the biggest excuse. Honestly, it is.
I can't
That
believe
is
that
just
that's the biggest excuse.
yeah, just I am busy. We're all busy. Life is full. Like, let's make time. Kids go to sleep eventually. Mine don't sleep during the day, and here I am running a business. Like, like let's just look at your priorities and what do you value. And I think that that's do you want it enough? Some people don't
That's
want it
the
enough.
clincher.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also have a client who their story will always be their story.
Yeah.
So their story of unwell is what they want. And when they said yes, I don't think they truly committed themselves to wanting the change. And so whether or not you just take the nutrition support or whether you do more things because you want the change, I think that like, do you want to write a new story or do you want the same story playing over? That's that's a big part of it.
Do you have those conversations with those people?
I absolutely did.
Oh,
I sent a
good.
voice message and I was like, I'm just letting you know that I'm releasing you. You don't need me checking in with you. I feel like it's pressure for you. You don't, I can't want this for you more than you want this for you. So
Well done.
if you need me, I'm here for you always. But I will
Yeah.
no longer be checking in, annoying you and showing up, putting pressure on you to make a change. So
Yeah. How did she take that?
um, the same that she took the other weight, she just ignored.
Wow. Ooh wee.
I mean, it is what it is. I'm like, you signed up to be a client, you reached out and you wanted the support, you took the nutrition support, and you didn't plug into anything. So, and there's a lot of stuff for her to overcome with her health. So,
I
yeah,
mean, there's only so much you can do to help someone when they don't want
exactly.
to help themselves. And that goes with so many things in life, especially coming up to Christmas. I feel like this is such an important conversation because there are, family dynamics. You bring your stuff from the whole year and then your whole life into that dynamic. And people end up not talking for a few months, maybe years after Christmas. But, that that whole thing about values, I talk about this all the time on the podcast because I really think to myself, like, who are you showing up as and who do you want to be in this world? And if you really want to lose weight, or if you, it goes with anything, if you want to give up smoking, if you want to, career progression, if you want a fulfilling, loving relationship and that's supportive, and, if you want to be guided, if you want to find your purpose, everything comes down to what are you willing to do? And if you're not getting results, you really have to ask yourself, do I really value this in my life? Do I really value being well? Or is it serving me to be a victim in my life? And that's the way that I want to live. And I don't know that I used to be one of those women, didn't want to admit it for myself because it meant that I had to change. I had to change. Me. Didn't want that. Didn't
I,
want that before
I
this
think
journey.
comparison is the thief of joy, right? And so
Yes.
many women are comparing themselves to other women. So they think that they need to look a certain way.
Mm,
And that maybe don't necessarily actually want to make the changes. They don't value health. They just want to be skinny. Like,
mm.
honestly, I hate the skinny word because I
It's
have been
dumb.
called skinny so many times. And I'm like, oh, you're lucky you're skinny. Um, I nearly said some obscene swear words then. Please. Oh yes, I'm so lucky. Like
Yeah.
I'm healthy. Let's just
Yeah.
call me healthy. Like we don't need to be. Oh, you're so skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But it
annoying.
also, I mean, you work hard at it. Like you
Yeah,
actually make a conscious effort every day with intention to live a life of wellness. And that shows up for you in the way that makes sense for your body and your genetics and what your shape is like and what your body fat's like and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think people give enough credit to those who are working hard on themselves in the background. Yes, there are a lot of celebrities out there that can afford to have the top surgeons, and one week they have this, and then another week they have a hot bod and whatever else, but none of it's real.
yeah,
And that whole I love that you said comparing yourself. What is it? It's like the thief of joy. Is that what you said?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah,
We live in such a world where we're conditioned to believe that women are competitors and that we're constantly having to be better than the other woman to live up to a certain standard in life. So when you talk about sisterhood, Tell me what that means to you in this respect.
So that was my experience. It was
Mm,
always the comparison and always the you can't shine brighter, right? Because people just want to knock you down. And
mm,
so you play small just to fit in. And um, the sisterhood that I'm in, I've never experienced people where we're all like minded. We all have a value for health and a passion for helping other people. And we rise each other up, we support each other, we love on one another, and it's such an empowering space to be part of, where it's a collective of women who collaborate, and it's just it's freeing. It's beautiful to not have that comparison friend and worry about catching up with a group of women and not wanting to shine brighter than anyone else, or also feeling like you don't want to be like the ugly duckling because you know that there's a comparison thing going on, and the competing thing, and you're just like, I just want to be me. And like, I can so be me. So I'm that crazy weirdo that you'll see doing handstands on the beach. So when we have a photo shoot, one of my mentors that I actually signed up with was my gym coach. I, at a short period of my life, I did gymnastics coaching, and I worked for her. She owned a gymnastics club. And so we're those weirdos. We did a photo shoot. We went to a big, beautiful business event, and we did a photo shoot with a team. And we were those weirdos doing handstands. So, you know, we just, we're accepted as we are. And one of our team mantras is, you're a blessing whether you do a little or a lot. Some people come in to just get, their products cheaper, and some women come in to set the world on fire and just move. So, there is no right or wrong, no matter what. And I love that.
And let's be honest, it's not everyone's journey in this lifetime to
Yeah.
do that, to do what you're doing. You
Yeah.
know, I've been really lucky with this podcast. I say lucky. I believe in luck, but I also believe that we create it. It's literally preparedness meeting opportunity to me. And so I do the work when I don't need to do the work, so that when that thing comes, I can recognize it and I know what to do with it, But, there's really something to be said for understanding what your purpose is in this lifetime. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something grand.
Yeah.
We're being taught that if it's not grand, it's not worth it. So when you think about what you do, what is it that, really inspires you? What's your North Star for your business and, helping guide women through their wellness journeys?
So if you had have asked me a few weeks ago, I would have spoke into my values, and I would have spoke into my personal experience with my journey and what led me here. Because if I didn't go through that horrible worst time in my life, I wouldn't have found this. I wouldn't have said yes to this. Um, but now learning all about, because I've done some work on archetypes and stuff like that,
Mm.
but now learning about human design. Have you done your profile? Do you know what you are?
I have a girlfriend that does this, and I haven't done the human design thing, but I've heard about it. So please tell the listeners what it's about.
Okay, I can send you a link, and you can do it.
Great.
I'm a generator, and
Okay.
so a generator, basically, I have endless energy to just get shit done. And
Yeah.
so of a night time, I'm so bad at turning off at night. And I also know that I have a later release melatonin because I did my DNA testing and stuff. So
Mm.
I know that I stay up far too late. I know I shouldn't, but whatever. I just can't turn off. And I'm like, I'm in like, yes, creation mode. And so I'm
Yeah.
doing all of the things, right? And so learning about me being a generator, my North Star, it's about empowerment through clarity and coaching. And it makes sense to me that it's also my values, and it's set up. Everything that I've done is all about that. Like, whether I worked in the community, I was empowering people to make change, and I was coaching them through things, and it's about connection. And everything I've done has always been that. And what I'm doing now, it's just so in alignment with that. So it makes sense that I landed where I am, but I'm a generator.
I love that. You just get a mug. I'm a generator. I get shit done. I love that. I think to who I was in my 20s and how lost I felt a lot of the time, and having to discover who I am. I remember waking up on my 31st birthday going, what the fuck have I done with my life? Like, this is not my life. I don't belong here. I was living in Montreal. I was engaged to who I thought was the most amazing human. Turns out he was lying to me, talking to other women behind my back. And I just didn't realize that the life that I was in, or the life that I got myself into, was just so out of alignment. I didn't know what it felt like to be in alignment, right? And that's where my journey started. I started reading books. I don't know if you know Ian Van Zandt. She was huge in America in the time that I was living in Canada. But I started reading her books and watching her shows and whatever else. And it led me down having to ask myself, who do I want to be? And so I realized, and I mean, that would have been 2014, it might have started, 2013. And so when I think of who I was then and what I would want her to know, I wish I could have gone on this journey sooner. And so when you think of who you were before, what advice would you give to your younger self?
So this is going to sound woo woo.
All the woo-woo, bring it, girl. Load me up.
Okay, so Aaron and I believe that in before we were brought to this earth, we signed a contract that we would meet at this time. Now, I stayed in a toxic marriage for 26 years. I can't change that. Like, I had to learn those lessons.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the 3 beautiful children that I have today if I had left him. So the only things that I would have told myself, that I would have really looked at, was the vaccination schedule. I wouldn't have vaccinated my kids. And I didn't realize, actually, until yesterday, speaking to my mum, that she said she didn't actually give me all my immunizations. It didn't really sit well with her, even though the immunization schedule was a lot less then than it is now.
What is it, like 5 then and 78 now?
50 million. Yeah. And don't even go with Hep B while we're injecting them with a sexually transmitted. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
no one knows that unless you're informed. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that knowing, because I have the MTHFR gene, we can't detox from this. I've passed it down, I believe, to my children. And now I have a son with autism, ODD, ADHD, OCD. I have a daughter with eczema. Like, my kids wouldn't have had to struggle with these things if I had have known those things now. And the other thing is, don't trust the healthcare system.
Amen, sister.
It's not a healthcare system. It is
it's a
definitely
business.
a pharmaceutical system.
It is, yeah. Yeah. The more money we can make, the more we'll keep you sick. It's funny that we even call it woo-woo, right?
Yeah.
Believe in all the things that you said too. I really think that, and I read this book called, what is it now? The Laws of the Spirit World, something like that. My doctor of Chinese medicine gave it to me. I borrowed her book, and while I don't agree with everything in there, some things just didn't resonate with me. It did confirm for me what I had always believed to be true, and that, I don't know about you, Krystle, but I have memories that I know are not from this lifetime. And there are things that we know that come naturally to us that we think are talents, but they're actually things that come to us from a different lifetime. And our soul, whatever lessons it needs to learn to ascend, enlighten, take it to the next level in terms of who we are as spirits, we choose who we come into this earth as. We choose our mother. We choose the lessons. And then the moment we come out of that birth portal, we forget everything so that we can learn all of the things that we signed up for. And so I love that you said that. And yet we're in a timeline where unwellness, sickness is so common. And when I started really going on, diving deeply, I'm someone, I feel like you might be the same. But when I get a bee in my bonnet, I need to know, even if I don't understand the words, I'm like, I'm going to exhume that body of lies and work out, cures for myself. So like things like cold sores, right? I'm like, there's something about this that doesn't make sense to me. I used to get them really badly as a kid. And I know now that whenever I get one, or at least when I'm about to get one, I know my immune system's down. I've been able to work out what my symptoms are for when my immune system's down. But the cold sore virus, that virus is linked to the vaccine schedule, because it's linked to cytomegalovirus, which is a virus that is apparently, I hope I'm getting this right, I think it's the cytomegalovirus, and that virus is linked to the vaccine schedule. So there are so many, even autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune conditions would not exist, I believe, my theory, if we didn't have this vaccine schedule that they're giving children now. And with the rate of illnesses in children, it blows my mind that more mothers don't question what is going on in our generation. This didn't exist when we were kids. How can you not question that for yourself as a mother now who's, having children and realizing, oh my God, something's wrong with my kid? So when you think of, did something happen where you suddenly were like, oh, vaccines, not right? Something happened to your children that you suddenly turned off it, or was it just a knowing?
Um, it was honestly all of the stuff through COVID, because back then I wasn't the person that I am now. I wasn't empowered to look into things. I was very much, I didn't have any self-worth. In my relationship, I just kind of did what I was meant to, right? And so I did all of the things, never questioned anything. I also, one of my childhood traumas was not having a voice. And that wasn't because my mother ever did anything wrong. It was because my brother was enough for both of us, that I learned very much that my mum didn't need the two of us to be making noise as such. And so when I learned as an adult my lack of confidence, it came from that. So I never questioned anything. I always did the things. And then COVID happened. And I was like, now hold on a minute. Like,
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense. And so I was skeptical. I put my skeptical hat on and was just kind of digging into the research. And I'd stopped drinking the tap water. Was like, wow, okay, so this world was not designed for health. Like, this world was designed for the pharmaceuticals, the hospital industry. The hospital is a business. They don't make money if their beds aren't full.
Yep.
And so when I met Aaron, and he was on that journey too, so he was sharing stuff with me, and I was really lucky because he had met with some people and stuff that sort of he had shared stuff that they were sharing, and then we went to different things together, and it was a really big eye opener. And then I got pregnant with the twins, and so it was a really big journey through COVID, pushing back against everything.
When you say all the things, are we talking about all the tinfoil things?
All the what, sorry?
The tinfoil things?
Oh, yes. Yeah, yes. Yeah. All the conspiracy stuff.
Yeah, because we're all crazy, right? That all came true, right? Oh, amen, sister. I can't even. And you know what? I was saying this to my husband. I don't know what we were talking about yesterday, but I was like, isn't it funny that we can't say, I told you so?
I know.
But they spent years, everybody, I lost everyone, Krystle. I lost everyone. And the only people that stuck around were, I reconnected with a really good friend of mine. We used to work together, and we had kind of just grown apart. She's got a daughter. She now has a second daughter. But if it wasn't for that time, we wouldn't have reconnected because of everything that was going on in our, mutual belief systems. And I just remember how easy it was for everyone who I'm going to call it the other side of the fence, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a very big divide, to just tell us their thoughts, opinions, and project their crap. And do till this day, if they haven't woken up yet, do till this day. And we still can't say, but hey, do you think it might be because you may have participated in the experimental program that was around in 2021? Do you maybe consider, like, I still can't say that. And my husband and I are just like, like, we can't say anything still.
And
We're
it's
still beaten
funny
up for it.
because those people were the toxic people. Like,
Yeah.
I never pushed. I enlighten. I like to consider myself a lighthouse. With help, I just shine a light for people. I'm not here to tell you what to do. You want to do
Yeah.
it, do it. And that's the same with the vaccine stuff. Like the whole time during COVID, I was the only person unjabbed in my office, and it was an unmandatory employment sector, so we did not need to have it. The bullying and the horrible things that were said to clients that came in to get them to force them to be jabbed. And then the employer brought in a policy that you had to be jabbed. So I got fired a month before I was due to leave to have the babies. I got fired. Yeah.
So that would have affected your maternity leave, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd sent things to them like evidence proof. Here's the things, like this isn't a scientific, like this is an experiment, like all of the things. I'm pregnant. Why would you? It's a high risk pregnancy. I'm pregnant with twins. And I was still told, get the jab or leave. Bye.
And no repercussions, hey? No one's paying the price
exactly
for what they
Not
did.
even a sorry for what you went through. Would have been nice for the recognition of, yeah, we weren't very good to you as an employer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I was working somewhere where I really thought my boss would have my back. I really thought this person would have my back because he knew that it was at the time where I was, I had finally discovered that I have an autoimmune marker. I had developed psoriasis. It answered a lot of questions for me in terms of my unwellness at the time after I got COVID, especially. But he knew that whole year I had been on a journey of finding a doctor that was legit. And this woman was the only person who would listen to me when I said, I think something's going on with my immune system. There's something going on. Please, can you check my immune markers or autoimmune conditions? Like, I've been begging for like 15 years and they just kept saying, no, it's not that. She was the first one who said, okay, let's test. And so I was going on about how happy I am about finding this doctor, whatever. And I remember saying to him, because he's like, he pulled me into his office and he's like, we should probably talk about your exit plan. I was like, my what? And he's like, well, and he wouldn't actually say it. I was like, my exit plan? He's like, well, if you're not going to, then we're going to have to think about how the continuity of your role and what that involves and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, what the? I can't believe we're even having this conversation. And I was in tears and I said to him, that my doctors actually said, don't hold out for as long as you can because we don't know what this will do to your autoimmune condition. And he's like, oh, have you considered finding another doctor? Yeah. Even though I had told him it took me 15 years of begging doctors and getting nowhere, specialists, and no one would listen to me, and that I finally found a doctor that would listen to me, and now we've found this thing, and now it explains this sort of stuff. He's like, oh, whatever. Anyway, I kept going on to him about, but there's, he's like, oh, I'm just, following the data and, the rules, and it says this, and, if it's, I understand if you don't want to, but, and so I said, but that there's data and I'm happy to send you all the research, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, you know what? The data doesn't matter. You're a threat to everyone else in this office. And I was just like, I'm the only one who's not taken leave because I'm sick. And I'm the threat. Never taken leave because I have a cold or a flu. Never. Anyway, so I remember walking out of that office going, wow, like it really shows when you're confronted with someone's limiting belief system. And I call it limiting because I really think that it was a time where people dug their heels in and would not budge or be open-minded. And so when you confront someone's limiting belief system, they shut down and you become enemy number one.
Yeah.
When you left that role, well, when you were fired, what was your thought process about who you were, about who you wanted to be, about your choices?
I was grateful
Mm.
because it was a real kick in the pants to me
Yeah.
to say you don't ever want to return to a traditional job. That's not for me. I don't
Yeah.
want to be there to make someone else rich. I want to be home with my kids. Um, that's what I've always thrived, when I am at home with my kids. Um, and so I look at it as it was meant to be. And I also think I was meant to be there for a reason. I went from a different job to that job because it was toxic upper management. So I left that job and went to this particular place that also was toxic. But I wouldn't have met my partner if I hadn't.
Yeah.
And like, we can't skip ahead in our story, or our story
No.
won't make sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's for me to just go, yep, I'm never returning. I don't want to work in toxicness anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How does that feel for you as a generator now that you know? Because I feel like um, having to accept certain things that you really don't have any control over. I feel like as someone who gets stuff done,
Yeah.
control is kind of the piece to that.
So
So how do you
frustration
manage
is
that?
like my shadow self. Frustration as a
Yeah.
generator, it's like,
Yeah.
that's our like, oh. And so yeah, I was definitely frustrated at the time because I was like, come on, just one more month. But then I was like, well, whatever. Um, I don't have to prove that I left. You fired me. So I just applied for Centrelink payments because it eased I can just move into one thing. That's it. And just focus on me. I was having a
Yeah.
rough enough time at the hospital because it was COVID, and Aaron and I weren't jabbed, so he wasn't allowed to attend my appointments. So I had my 12-year-old there with me for most of my appointments. So yeah, I didn't need any more pressure. But for that, it was acceptance and surrender to my current season, and thank God, by toxicness. Like, it really just yeah, just acceptance and surrender was like the massive thing. And I think that really helps as a generator to ease the frustration.
What did you learn about yourself during that time?
I'm stronger than I knew. Like,
Mm.
honestly, the just my biggest lesson was the power of healing, my power of my own strength, and knowing that every level up brings a devil up. Like, it is, every time you hit a new level, it's this something builds, there's something there. And when there's an obstacle, it's not in the way, it is the way. You've just got to continue to go through things. And yeah, it was just learning more about my own strengths, I think, because after my separation, I really learned how strong of a woman I am, and how much self-love and self-value I really do have now. But I had to do a lot of work on me, and it's been 7 years of working on me, and I still have work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no end game. Like,
Yeah.
and if you're getting into something, anything, health is the same, wouldn't you say? Like, there is no
Yeah.
end game. You don't just get there and it just sustains itself. You get
Yeah.
there and then you need to sustain it, which means you need to stay committed to whatever it is that you chose to do. And unlearning
Yeah.
is
And there's always
exactly the
new
same
seasons
thing.
in our life, like
Yeah.
perimenopause. Hello. And then there's going to be menopause. And it's just like, there's always something that you're always going to have to tweak. If you're aiming for that optimal health and vitality, there's always going to have to be changes that you make. So it's the same with growth. There's always going to be something that comes up that you're going to be like, oh, like, I thought I was so healed as a single woman after leaving my ex. And I was like, I worked on my shit, and I was like, yes. And then I got in a relationship, and then I learned that you actually can't heal relationship traumas on your own. You have to do it in a
Yep.
relationship. Oh yeah, poor Aaron. Like, and he was like, I'm not going to let this end us. Like, you can't sabotage. I'm going to help you work through your traumas. Like, we can do this. And like every time I was triggered, he was like, can't push me away. And he helped me. And we were absolutely always meant to be, because I felt like I was like, am I not meant to be in a relationship? Like, why am I like this? But his support and getting me through was, I think, what made the difference. I don't think I could have gone into a relationship with a guy who hadn't done work on himself. It would have just been messy, and I would have ended up just single my whole life.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to know what your experience is. How long have you and Aaron been together?
Only for coming on 4 years.
When you think of the work that you've done in the last 4 years on yourself, has he been, I'm going to say, like a mirror to your stuff? Like, do you feel like you've really excavated in the last 4 years?
He shows up as a king. Like,
Hmm.
so when I was learning all about my cycle, because I'd been on the different things, I was going back in onto the marina after the twins, and so um, we sat down and we watched Kira's masterclass together. Like, he learned about my cycle. He has the Partner Flow app, so he knows when that time of month is coming for
Oh
me.
my
So he
God.
knows how to best support me, and um, yeah, he will shine a light when I am in my not so great self, and let me know when you're in your right mind, babe. We'll talk about it. Like, you're in your monkey mind right now. Like,
Shout out to King Aaron. Yep. Q, what a man.
Jenna, I needed that.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I ask because I feel like women, and I was one of them, tend to get into relationships specifically thinking when it's easy, it's the right one. And I don't necessarily mean that when it's hard, it's the right one. But what the hard part is that, or at least for me, my experience has been, and what it has taught me about me, who I am as a woman, who I want to be as a woman, and what I love about the woman that I am, is that my husband shows me, not on purpose, just by his reactions and how loving and generous and a wonderful human being he is, shows me the parts of myself that are really not that great. Because there are times, obviously, throughout my cycle where I'm a bit of an a-hole and I don't know what's happening, and there's stuff that I still clearly need to work on. And my marriage has really taught me more about myself. And I really never considered just how much a relationship, a loving, generous relationship that is fulfilling, I thought it would be different. I thought it would be rosy. I thought it would be easy all the time and fun all the time and spontaneous. And I clearly had a very skewed perspective on what marriage actually is. And what I'm grateful for, and what I love about what you just said about Aaron, is that when it's the right person, you can't shake them with your crap. They are
Yeah.
unshaken
Yeah.
and they stand strong, and they are a foundation. They're a pillar in your life that you can't bulldoze, even though you want to
Because I tried.
sometimes. So we try. And that's a trauma stuff, right? That's trauma that's coming up. That's like, no, get away from me. I can do this on my own.
Oh my God. Yeah. He knows I'm hyper independent, and it's still
Oh, yeah.
something that I'm working on. And another thing that I just recently we went through was I say thank you, and I feel like I'm telling him that I'm appreciative of different things, but men need to be appreciated. And
Yes.
so when he said to me, I don't feel the appreciation from you. And I was like,
You'll be
but
like, what?
I say thank you for things that you do. Like, what do you mean? And so I literally took photos of different times in my journal just recently, my gratitude journal, of where I have shown appreciation for him. Now, it dawned on me that I don't say these things to him, but I
Mm.
feel it and I write it down. And so for him, he nearly shed a tear. He loved it because I took photos and I sent it to him. And I was like, have you checked your messenger?
Appreciation, ding ding. Yeah.
And so now I know I do need to, like, just because I feel it, it doesn't mean he knows it. Like, so I need to.
I wonder if words of affirmation is one of his love languages.
If words of affirmation.
Yeah. Because it's so important to know what the other person's love language is. And, you know, it's classic example. You know, for me, it's words of affirmation and what's the thing where they acts of service. I love when my husband,
Yes.
yeah,
Love language.
I'm like, I love that you take the rubbish out and I don't have to ask you. I love that you do things and I don't have to ask you. You know, those are the things that really mean something to me. And then when you say to me things about, you know, how proud you are of me, and he's really been my biggest supporter for this podcast, which I never thought it would be the case. Like he's given me such, you know, encouragement. And I never thought that that would come from my husband. I thought that that encouragement would come from all the women in my life.
Yeah.
It's come from him. And I'm like, wow, like you really show me who I am as a woman and what I love about myself, because they're the things that you love about me that I don't see. Like I don't acknowledge that for myself. So when you think about who you are as a woman, I would love to know what it is that you love about the woman that you are, Krystle.
So the biggest thing, I mean, it's the true being a portal of creation for life. Like I always wanted to be a mum, and being a mum and that nurturing side, but at the nurturing plays on into how I care for people in my life, and being a mentor and a coach. Like I feel like that part of me plays out in everywhere. Like people feel comfortable to talk to me. I had a client who, when I was working with youth, he said to me, I don't know why, like the first day that we met and had an appointment, and he said to me, I just told you so much stuff and I don't know why I feel comfortable. I've never told people that stuff before. I feel so comfortable. He's like, it's like you're my mum. And so, yeah, I feel like just the nurturing role as a woman, being a portal for life. I've loved my pregnancies and my births. My previous best friend, I had said to her, she wasn't sure if she would be able to carry and fall pregnant. And I was like, I would have a baby for you. Like
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's such a beautiful thing to be able to do for someone. I mean, I'm my age now, so not doing that for anyone. It's time for me now.
Yeah. That's so comforting as someone who wants to be a mum and has spent like the last 5 years worried about what that would mean and what it means to be pregnant. That gives me, I don't know why, that just gave me comfort. I think that, you know, not that I think, I know that we create our own experiences, and the more we tell ourselves it's going to be hard, the harder it will actually be. And so just by you saying that has given me comfort for the next phase of my life when I do finally fall pregnant and I am a mum, that, you know, I've got it handled.
My children know, they're the only ones that know what my heart beats sounds like from the inside. And so to have that bond, like we carry their cells within our body until like at least 18 years of life. I'm still carrying them in me. So yeah, it's just such a beautiful bond as a mum. And yeah, and that's what I love.
What a way to end the episode. Oh my God, that just filled up my cup. Krystle. It's been such a pleasure. Please tell the listeners where they can find you and how they can work with you.
So my main account is on Facebook at Krystle Doyle, or in bracket Krystle Rose, in brackets is Krystle Doyle. I made the name change because I was Doyle and that is my last name, but my middle name is Rose, and I feel like that represents me and my journey of the beauty and growth. And so I've gone with Krystle Rose as my name. On Instagram, that wasn't available. There's another Krystle Rose. So I am Krystle Rose 555, and 5 is all about growth. So
Mm.
transformation. So again, yeah. And
Everything's in alignment with you.
yeah, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
And I have a YouTube channel that I will be launching my podcast next year at The Awakened Mama with Krystle Rose.
I love that. Love, love, love. So if you are interested in connecting with Krystle, I will include in the episode description and across socials links and ways you can do that. So if you haven't already, head on over to Spotify and Instagram and follow the Skin I'm In podcast to be the first to know when new episodes drop. Krystle, thank you so much for being a guest on the Skin I'm In podcast.
Thank you. I've had so much fun.
Krystle and I spoke offline about her first marriage, how she went from living with junkies to being homeless and then being blessed with a transformational moment in time where her whole life changed course. It's conversations like this, guys, that remind me and reiterate how important it is to not judge people you don't know. Everyone has a story, and we all face challenges that change our lives, putting us on a path that we either choose to follow or one that we ignore. Either way, whether there's a smile on someone's face or not, most people are trying to hide some form of pain. So be compassionate towards the people in your life and even towards the people who aren't in your life. You just never know what someone's going through. I have been craving conversations about the power of sisterhood for over a decade, and it's incredible how these women are being brought into my sphere who have experienced firsthand what's possible when you go from not having a sisterhood at all to surrounding yourself with a community of women who remind you how worthy you are and empower you to be the greatest version of yourself. Through this podcast, I'm getting a glimpse of what's really possible when women come together for the good of others and how inspirational we have the capacity to be when we choose to light the way for each other rather than trying to dim the light of one another. Can you imagine for a moment what it would be like to live in a world where you no longer had to compete for attention as a woman, for acceptance, for connection, for love? Or what it would be like if women the world over knew that there was safety, community, and compassion in the company of other women. The achievements women would make in every area of their life that would then contribute to the overall wellness of the life of others, we would be unstoppable. And I'm almost certain the DEI programs would cease to exist because we wouldn't need them anymore. Krystle made a call out in this conversation I also want to reiterate because I think it's just so important in this day and age with how many distractions we all have that keep us from getting on our soul's mission. Krystle acknowledged that the greatest excuse people make or give as to why they haven't achieved something is that they are busy. I mean, resonates. I've used that excuse before. And what I'm about to say next is food for thought for you guys. Time exists so differently for us, the way that it exists for other species on this planet. To them, it doesn't exist. They just are in this world. They just are being. They aren't running out of time. They are following their circadian rhythms and they know their place on this planet. Someone at some point in the past decided to put this limit on humanity's perspective of time, causing us to believe we are constrained in some way when we actually aren't. It's all kinds of evil genius to have the human species worried about running out of time and then giving them every possible distraction in the world and making it socially acceptable to live our lives in this way where we are rewarded for being busy. It's almost like a badge of honor that makes you sound important. Oh, I just don't have time. I'm so busy at the moment. Like, what are you really busy with? I know women who say that they are busy and also spend an enormous amount of time on their phones checking emails, doing online shopping, or scrolling through socials. We aren't really busy. There are just things we don't want to have to do, and we use being busy to not have to do them. Be honest with yourself and those in your life. Like, just say you don't want to have to do something. I think that that's a lot more honorable than saying you're just busy. So one of the things that I like to do whenever I am feeling overwhelmed, let's say, or I feel like I'm not getting things done, is I write down everything I do in a day. And that goes down to eating, going to the bathroom. And I literally mean 11:02 went to pee, 11:03 back at my desk. And it really puts into perspective and shows you a pattern of what busy looks like for you on paper. And it's a really interesting way to see how you spend your day. As Krystle says, choose your hard. I love that. I love how she says that. And to that, I would add, otherwise, hard is going to choose you. With gratitude and grace, have a wonderful day.